Welcome back, friends, to EU League. It's time for our match of the day. G2 Esports going up against Rogue. Very excited to see what these two rosters can now actually show us in game. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Camilo, the medic, with me are Fresh and Fabian. We're going to have a chat about these two squads, starting off with G2. Fabian, what can you tell me about G2?
I get G2. No, I think it's a very interesting new roster that we're seeing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it interesting?
It's an interesting roster. I'm not allowed to use the word interesting, but it's very interesting. Do you find it interesting?
I do find it interesting, yeah.
And Milos, how about you? Is
Stab
it
me in the heart at this point, honestly. What are you doing to me?
I find it interesting, your reaction to this. However, it's a very, very good roster to look at, and I find it interesting how they're going to play. They have some really talented individual players. And as we spoke before, I have a little bit of a worry if their team play is going to keep up to it, because they've had 4 players now that have been played for by their teammates before. And now they don't have those guys anymore.
Who's the one that you...
I think Prano has obviously played support for Rogue late, like just before.
Yeah, true.
And then I think Virtue is going to fall into a more supportive role here as well. But it's hard to say. It could be anything.
I think if you look at G2's issues last year, they were missing a solid entry player.
Yep.
They were missing a really good support. I'm not saying Kayak didn't play the support role, but it was a lot of weight on his shoulders for his first year into EU League. And if you look at those two particular transfers of taking in Doki as an entry player and then taking in Prano, who night and day improved Rogue, everything's set up really nicely for G2, you know, to set themselves up for success.
For sure, they have the right players for it. And as we said, we know that individually, one by one, the puzzle pieces are really good. But is it as an overall puzzle going to work? That's hard for me to say.
I mean, if we talk about the Guarana in the room here, it's Alamao. You know, first time Europe is importing talent from the outside. Have we become the new NA?
Well, first time from last time, right? Obviously, Virtue himself is an import from APAC as well. So, you know, it's not uncommon for G2 to be making these imports and making these bold choices. Exactly. It quite literally is if you can't beat them by them.
It is the G2 way.
Yeah. We went out to Fnatic in Invitational 2020. That's when they bought him.
I mean, after that, they never qualified again. But yeah, fair enough.
We don't need to get into
talk about that,
those rough patches.
Rough patches, many of them. That's a rough field, as they would call it in some ways. But Rogue on the other side, they've also had changes. We got Deepek on here on the lineup now. Finally, Benelux being represented in competition.
Yeah, we do. So we've got Rogue. They dropped Aces, and then they've obviously lost Prano to the team that they're playing today.
Yep.
But bringing in Deepek and bringing in Kanto, that's a whole new front line for them. So Leon's going to take more of a supportive role, drop into the back line. They've got Deepek and Kanto playing the kind of entry fraggers. We clearly know how much experience Kanto's got, how well he's played. He did drop off confidence-wise, you know, back in the back end of his G2 days. It's good to see him back. Deepek, as I said, he's been waiting in the wings for his opportunity so long. And I think Rogue, you know, it's going to be a difficult start for them, but I think their expectations, and, you know, they've also brought Tristan in as an analyst as well, so it's completely new for them in terms of the team dynamic. But as I said in the pre-show, there's no pressure on them today, so go out, give it the best shot. You know, they're going to be there, but they're not going to roll over for G2.
They're just poaching Delta project members, what I'm seeing.
Okay, yeah, that's two. That's two from Rogue,
yeah. No, but I find that they have kind of a little bit similar of issues that I mentioned with G2. If I look at the players, we're looking at Kryn, Kanto, Deepek, and I can't even... Well, we have a lot of aggressive players. Well, Leon is the one I'm forgetting most about. And pulling some aggressive players into new roles that they aren't normally used to playing. Rips is the 5th one. You see, I actually do know the players. But it's like they have a lot of aggressive players that they're now pulling back into more supportive roles. It's going to be interesting for... Again, I use the same word. I'm not even allowed. And
Are you okay? Like,
no,
do you
the
just
sunlight of the lights are getting to my head. However... Yeah, they have a lot of aggressive players, and they have to put them back into support.
I think one of the big things is Leon gets himself into a lot of entry engagement. Whether he likes it or not, he finds himself in this position. If he's going into the backline, he needs to not be in those entry engagements as much. He needs to allow Kanto and Deepek to shine.
I think that's an issue for some support players.
Well, where will all of them need to shine on? That's our question. Map bans are ready. 9 map pool. Ban left with the last one. It's my best Flintstones impression. Clubhouse taken away. That looks significantly like Villa. Will be left with a Bank as their attacking side start for Rogue. They're the one deciding on it. G2 on the defense for Bank. Jack.
I think start side's important. I think for Rogue, if they're coming into this as the, you know, quote-unquote expected underdog, them to get onto the attack to really start dictating the pace. I think for G2, if they manage to get out and about and get across that map, Bank's a huge map that you've got to clear, lots of rotations, availability with all the staircases, so Rogue need to be quick on their droning and quick on their thinking.
The map haven't changed that much from the last time that we had it in the league, and clearing the map out on Bank is exactly the same way that you did it before. So I don't think that Rogue is going to have any issues with setting up their prepared drones and the droning paths or anything like that. All of that is already known since, well, 5 years. So I think that it doesn't really matter which side they start on, but I think that overall it's almost again, is a good map to play on because Bank is a very even map.
Who takes it?
Match of the day. G2. I mean, it's clear. I think that they have a better...
I think G2 just have they just have a higher skill individually. If that comes together, I think they'll win.
Individually, they have so many strong talents that can push them. So we'll hope that we see that.
An interesting game, as you say.
Thank
you very much.
I don't know how many times I can put it.
And Fresh, we're going to have to look into your dictionary when we're all done. Yeah. It's our match of the day. It's G2 versus Rogue. I'm going Ace, and that sticks through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Game of the day, G2 versus Rogue. A big one in anyone's books, Tim. As the desk have said, lots of eyes fall onto G2 with their new superstar roster. The question is, we've seen superstar teams before. We've seen these so-called super teams come together, and they haven't done so well. It's taken a bit of gelling and has then kind of fallen apart. Does this iteration work?
Well, that's what we're about to find out. There's, I think, probably for, everybody at home, certainly for me, I think for, for a lot of us here, this is the most mouth-watering game of the day. Because it's G2 have sort of...
Well, unless you're not up for the whole Eminem Heroic rematch later.
I'm loving that as well. I'm just, in terms of G2, have really hogged the headlines with the transfers. It's been such big news, this roster getting put together. It looks like a new, possible beacon for EU to go into international tournaments with. It's just... could be big. It could be big. But there's also a lot of pressure on the team as well. I'm piling it on. Everybody else has piled it on. And expectations are very high. So it's going to be easy for this G2 team not to meet those expectations just because they're so high. I remember G2 playing V on Bank last year. It was just when Bank had been brought into the map pool. It was the first game. And oh boy, did it not go well for G2. So they're going to need a better Bank performance than they showed us last time around. We've got the bans coming in. Not too much of a surprise, or should I say knock too much of a surprise. Oh, there you go. Hibana, well, it's going to be the last one, Des, because she's banned out. Hibana Kaid also go mirror along with. No major surprises there.
Absolutely none at all. Maybe you look at the Kaid here, there, and say, well, Thatcher's open, why bother banning it? It's more the difficulty of if you see the Kaid, you're going to likely need the Thatcher or a Mav, and maybe you want to play around with something else instead. All that said, with the Hibana taken away, I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Maverick being brought along. It is 2 nades, it is the ability to open hatches. We'll see how the game progresses. But also thinking about it, what we've seen from some teams, I believe it was back at SI, I want to say, was that they would run things like 4 hard breach gadgets, and that would be their hatch opening methodology. They may have that here in the back pocket of the Zero. In fact, no, it's going to be... Well, we'll find out, of course, if he sticks it first and foremost. We've got to find out, of course, with the Attacker Repeat now. You can't see that as soon as the round gets underway. But we are going to start downstairs in the basement, and Deepak is starting on the Decabi, it looks like. So, Roma Hunter Supreme is going to be where things kick off, and you've got Virtue sliding across to playing on the Warden. Now, I've touched on this a lot in APAC, and I mentioned it back in our first game of the day. Some teams, when they see a Ying, they just kind of brick themselves and go, right, Warden, every single defensive round, bring it along just in case. We even saw Outsiders doing that in the game early on too. Not Outsiders, sorry. Who did we just see in the last game? Poons, that's it. We saw them running it instead as a deterrent to what would come in from Secret. It was the Ying, but you never really saw the 2 clash. But I think here, you could see it at some point, especially given there are some smokes in the back pocket of the Decabi.
Getting underway then, we head into the action phase. It's going to be defending the basement to kick things off, G2. And, I mean, this is interesting for me in many ways, Des. It's a long time since I've cast Alum out in sort of regional league fixtures. I'm not even talking in terms of international.
Is that a tear rolling down your cheek?
You got to remember, I've been casting Alum out for a long time, all the way back onto INTZ before the Team 1 days. One of the best smokes in the world then, still one of the best smokes in the world now. So keep an eye on him through the round. It's going to be fascinating to see him play inside of EU and just how he adapts to the different play style and tempo and everything else that comes with it. For the time being, the top floor clearance will begin for Rogue. Leon heading in there on the Zero. No combat between the two just as of yet, but plenty of droning and information gathering going on.
It's going to be interesting because you've got that magical word comes out again. Milosh somewhere, his ears are burning, his head is rolling.
It's not interesting, is it, Des?
It's very interesting, mate. Incredibly fascinating. Now, what's interesting to me in this game really is looking at the IGLs as well, because Leon has now taken over the IGL seat after Prano's departure. So it's kind of a step backwards for Rogue to their old setup they had, of course, with different players in tow as well. So things are going to change around. But you've got the two minds behind these teams going head to head after just playing with each other not all that long ago.
Virtue in an important role there. We've seen the warding used to hold down blue stairs quite a lot recently, and it's a very good tool to use. Obviously, the flashers can come in. You can burn the utility, send the flashers in. You're still not safe to push in behind them because the warden with the shotgun can do a lot of damage and doesn't get blinded when that gadget is used. So it can be a difficult place to clear him out from. Nades becoming essential, and there's only 4 on the side of Rogue. And I know I say only 4, but they are dealt with quite quickly.
Not
when you've
only
got things,
4.
when you've got things like a Jaeger on side, a couple of those ADSs stacked up, you can be left with only 1 or 2 active nades. So you've got to get them right.
Been a very passive round so far. Compare this back to our first game of the day, Outsiders versus LFO. It was crazy, hyper-aggressive around the map. But G2 have been out on their own. They've burnt a bit of time. They've dialed their way back to site and not picked up too many drones on their travels either. All 5 of them now back on the downstairs. Virtue holding around server by himself, at least for now. But outside of that, the other 4 are all dug inside of site. So Rogue have got control of the field, but they haven't really got control of the clock, Tim. We're down to about 30 seconds, so they need to make a move now.
That's it. They've got themselves nowhere near the end zone, really, as the time is ticking down. That's going to be a great opener, nearly, for Leon onto Doki. Doki being down will be finished off, and then the crush comes. Citizen manages to find one Prano. Leon crying. The kills are raining in. Difficult to keep a track of, but it's 3 versus 2 for Rogue. They're going to get that diffuser down, but no! They're able to down rips through the wall, and with such little time left, it may not be possible for Rogue to do anything here. Citizen with an important final kill, keeping them off the diffuser, and what a critical moment we have already in round 1. Downing rips through the soft wall, really saved the round for G2 there. It was backs against the wall, but they reacted.
Well, 2-3 players went for the plant, and Citizen had every single one's number. Doki just serving as the bait for him there as well, which is what we expected this team to become. Doki as the primary entry, and then seeing Citizen come in as the second, which is exactly what he went away with there. Just holding on inside of Magic, stepping his way inside of the vault. A couple of cheeky sprays through the soft wall, doing all they needed, and they get away with it. And yes, he had a bit of a camera issue there, which he seems to have addressed.
Going to be heading into round number 2 then. This time it's going to be cafe and open area that is our defensive site for G2, so expect to see a much heavier top floor presence from them. Interestingly, we've got the wall reinforced just off to the right of the double door that goes through into electrical. That's going to prevent any of those rushes that we quite often see into site, but that was an essential kill from Citizen. Those 2 coming in, big 2 there. There was 4 seconds left to go. Diffuser's being picked up, and he just completely cancels out any possibility of Rogue doing.
And that was after getting the down through that soft wall as well. Just small things there, you know. Rogue, I think 2.5 minutes to start going for a gunfight, leaving things a little bit late there, especially after G2 were already all 5 back on site by the 90-second mark. But let's park that for a minute. Now we're going to head up to open area and staff room. Not tons really changing in terms of lineup coming out for the side of Rogue, but for G2, you've got that Mozzie on side. The Warden once again returning, but this time round coming in for Citizen instead of Virtue. Virtue instead going over to play in that castle. And we talk about castle a lot on this map. How it opens up like highways that you can play on as the defenders, that you can use to get back towards site. No doubt that's going to be part of the play here.
Citizen's just inside of sight at the minute on the Warden. He's going to no doubt play a large amount of this round in that position, if not all of it. He's going to leave the roaming up to others. It's likely to be Doki, I would imagine, who is off-site particularly, just trying to make a nuisance of himself over there in Tellers at the minute on the Malusi. He's going to be hoping for a little bit more involvement in this round, as you say. He played his part in the last one, and he sort of drew Rogue into that side of the map, but he's going to be hoping to find some kills. I'm absolutely sure to get his G2 career underway.
I didn't expect someone sat around Magic at the time. No, absolutely not. This should be a little bit quicker than the last round. They have got themselves in and above at this point, just trying to make sure no one is hiding out inside of Archives and they've got the control they need. Deepek doing the work above site itself, and him playing on the Zofia. This is one of his signature go-to operators when he played back in Challenger League and in Benelux. So good to see him still getting to play on an operator that he has excelled on, I want to say, historically.
Going to just be opening up the hatches inside of stock. Rogue actually getting very quick control over the top floor. G2 not really investing as much as I might have expected up there. They're not too worried about the soft angles that can be opened up from inside of stock, etc. Doki's finding himself all the way down in the basement. Could be easily missed on those drones. The potential for that blue stairs flank, which we've seen be absolutely devastating at times. I'm sure that's what Doki is certainly looking towards. He's heading in that direction, although it's a little bit soon to be going over there just yet.
I think so, yeah. And you've got to clock Alamo as well. He spent the last, 45, 50 seconds sat on a drone here just finding out what's going on around Bleepers halfway up main. So he's kind of providing more of a supportive role on the Mozzie at this point, just kind of droning out for the rest of the team. Has came off it about 15 seconds ago and already got himself sucked into a gunfight. Not yet dead, but 3 members of G2, make it almost 4, are being caught out there, not quite being tagged down until Kanto finally gets the opener.
It's going to be Alamo that he manages to find, and that's a good start for Kanto, getting him onto that entry game that I'm sure Rogue are going to be looking for from him. Virtue looks to make the challenge up onto square, and he manages to find Kanto, take him down, level things out 4-4. He's found himself in a little bit of a no man's land here. He's going to have to just play his life for as best he can. Leon goes in and finds the kill though. Virtue able to only burn a few more seconds, but Doki, he's not been pinned down throughout this entire round, and look at what the freedom is doing. It's a 3K for Doki in round number 2, and that's almost certainly going to see it out. There's nothing Deepek can do. Citizen 3K round 1, Doki 3K round 2. Who's next in round 3?
I didn't know how much I'd enjoy seeing these two boys back on the same team as well. Like, think back to the old days of, Eminem and Na'Vi. It is good seeing them back together, and not just because they've both popped off and got a 3K in round 1 and round 2, but stepping back from the stardom for a second when talking about G2, these are 2 rounds that have come down to big plays coming out of individual players. Citizen wasn't known when he was sat inside of Magic and rotated into Vault. Doki there wasn't expected to come on the flank and have such a fantastic angle, holding above that rotate. It's been 2 big plays by both players, but it's come down to the clock, and there's only been 1 or 2 players from G2 left alive. So yes, they are winning. Is it in the hyper-dominant fashion everyone probably expected from this game? I wouldn't say yes just yet.
No, what I love about that round was the timing from Doki there. As I said, G2 didn't really invest a lot onto the top floor to begin with, and that just shows exactly why top floor is so powerful. But Doki decided instead to head up there in the very late round, 10 seconds left to go. He kept himself off the radar. He gets up there for free, cheap kill onto Leon, but because they haven't invested a lot up there, Rogue haven't invested a lot up there, and they're not too worried. So the majority of Rogue's players are down in archives and tellers because it's okay, Leon's on the top floor, G2 haven't touched it all round. But guess what? We're going to come and reclaim it with 10 seconds left to go, and then we're going to have such a power position that there's nothing you can do about it. And it was just a really nice way to see that round out. Perfectly played from Doki. G2 looking smooth so far. Alamo, surely your turn for a 3K.
Just capitalising on opportunities, no complaints at all. And imagine if a third round gets followed up by another 3K. It would be ludicrous. However, in this round, what we are seeing as a key change is Leon stepping away from playing on the Zero. Brought it in both round 1 and round 2. Here, he steps across to playing on the Thatcher, likely because no use for those hard breach gadgets here, which is kind of where the Zero helps. He's kind of like half a, oh, nice, I've got some intel. Half, I've got hard breach gadgets, just not necessary. Deepek finding Doki. The man who got the 3K in the last round is off the board, and Deepek striking true. And now hacking all those cams just about 50 seconds into the round. Great start.
Deepek going well so far. Obviously a long-time player inside of the Benelux region. Very happy, I have absolutely no doubt, to see him inside of T1 EUL now.
You know what he said to me at the start of the day?
What did he say?
He was like, did you know Benelux is now the 4th most representative region in EUL?
I mean, he's very proud.
He's wrong.
So
he's wrong, because I think they're the 5th most represented, joint with 3 other countries.
Okay, well, we'll see how that representation goes as another kill comes in. It's going to be Leon this time. He's going to take down Prano, and things are starting to fall apart a little bit for G2 on this top floor hold. It is their 3rd choice site, so not necessarily the end of the world if they don't pull the round through, but they will certainly be looking for it. They've got themselves turtle defense inside a site now. We've got one in office, one in janitor, and one in meeting, just trying to sort of hold on and see exactly what comes about from this push of Rogue, who just taking the time here, and they can take the time. They've got 1 minute 10 left to go. They've got drones. They can check it out. They've only got 3 of them left, though. G2 doing a good job on the intel game here in the 3rd round, but the problem for G2 here is they're getting encircled, Des, and this could spell trouble for them.
Oh, just stepping off as well.
It's
It's
a
all
free
too
bit.
easy. Sees the drop, and Leon's going to step in, find himself. I thought he'd get to, but no. Deepek takes one. It's a game of 3Ks as he's found himself a 3 in the round, and Rogue will finally get one on the board.
Not only do they get one, but it's also flawless. Nice little message sent from Rogue that they are here to play. Obviously, big changes on both sides of the table. We've largely focused on the side of G2, but there have also been the changes for Rogue. Kanto, Deepek both coming in. And, Kanto, obviously, against his old team as well. There's so much going on in this matchup as to, little storylines that are in there, the trades that we've seen. And I think, it's interesting to see Kanto back. Obviously been quiet since he left the G2 roster last time around. So having him back in, it's fascinating to see just how he's going to go.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed seeing Goya, by the way. We saw it on Villa in the last map, and we saw a really interesting setup where I think it was Pones putting one down on the default plant spot and one on side of study door. They had it facing towards the door itself, so you couldn't just shoot it. You had to nade it out, but Secret's problem was they were smoking outside and then running in, and I thought surely that Goya just ends their whole world, but it often wasn't triggered off in that case. So I'm keen to see what Prana makes a good use case for it. 4 of those canisters, each burning for, 12 to 15 seconds. It is a lot of denial time that you've got. And where Rogue was slow on attacking this site last time, not forgetting again, there were about 30 seconds left before they started firing the first bullets and chucking the first nades. I think it's a really good stall tactic they've got.
So far, G2 have yet to find themselves an entry kill, Des. They've managed to get 2 out of 3 rounds regardless, but given that they've got some of the strongest entry players in the world now, we would expect to see a little more from them. And how do Rogue play when they have that man disadvantage? At the minute, we have absolutely no idea because it hasn't happened inside of 3 rounds. We've got Leon, Kanto and Deepek picking up all of those entries. Now then, Alamai is going to just wait his time for the time being inside of the basement. Don't worry, he's not on the SMG. He's just waiting on the garage door with that FMG in hand. Just that slightly more sort of mobile smoke roll that we see from time to time.
As we know, starting out on this top floor, this is where it kind of stung them a little bit last time, right? Is Navi. I see Doki, I see Citizen, it just comes to mind. They were off in sight, and they're off site for about 90 seconds or so, right? We got to that about 125 mark, and everyone was back on site. It then took Rogue another 45 to really get set up to actually push into the site itself and start looking for kills. So here you're looking for Rogue to be a little bit quicker, to force these players that are roaming on the upstairs back down. There's one halfway up main by the looks of it. There's one that's just dropped through hatch inside of open area. So now everyone is falling back on towards site again at about that halfway mark. It's now on Rogue to recognise that really quickly and start their push forward.
Great drone spot inside garage that we're seeing from Rogue there, just able to thank you very much. Crying, just going to be going back in to have another look, just zipping along that ventilation duct and just feeding different information. But 9 drones still alive on the side of Rogue as well, and not something that's been dealt with particularly well by G2 so far. But given that they're not out on the roam and they play more of a turtle defence down on site, that's understandable because a lot of the drones will have been used away from them, if that makes sense. Now, Virtue, he's holding on to stairs again. We didn't really see this challenged all too much last time. The Rogue push came elsewhere and tried to get them into lockers. So we'll see how the rest of this one progresses, but it's shaping up to be fairly similar possibly at the moment.
Well, at least one camera still stands. I said the second one just got shot out pretty much straight away there, but at least gives the indication to Leon of, okay, there's a guy to the left-hand side. We know roughly where he's sat. And it is Doki, who stepped out of Vault this time here, is looking to be a little more aggressive down towards this south side around elevators and is waiting for Leon to step his way forwards. But he's really the first and only line of defense on this south side of things. If he gets pressured out of there, it's going to sting a little bit. And this time it's Leon to go down first as Alamau steps across, finds one man out and removes a lot of the pressure, but it's already breaking down here. In that final 30 seconds again, that is the trigger point for this round. Crying, nade in hand. Kanto shut down by Citizen off towards the side. He finds a second. This is his side to control, it feels like. In comes Crying, stepping in under the hatch as well, as Prana comes for a swing out of the vault here as well. But it's going to be Crying getting onto Virtue. A 2 versus 3, and Rogue once again has seen that clock timer evaporate in this round. With 3 left alive, G2 looks sure enough to take this round. Only 2 seconds on the clock. Crying will find one more for posture, but it's another 3K coming in for Citizen.
Citizen proving that he's truly lord of the lockers down here, Des. Just absolutely locking down the basement once again. 6 kills so far inside of just 2 defences on that site. Citizen coming up big for G2. Gonna give them another round. Round 4 goes their way and leaves them now 3-1. And a little bit of a commanding lead coming in here against Rogue. Rogue have had their round, but the others haven't really felt particularly close to me, and this one does. It's shaping up to look like G2 could run away with this.
It may well do, but also I don't want to get too excited. I know the map is generally considered attacker leaning, but if you see this kind of 4-2 half coming out, it gives a shot at Rogue being able to be aggressive out on the roam. Think back to Rogue of last year, last stage, especially back in stage 3. They love playing this really aggressive attacking game, and on defense sometimes it lacked, but at others they could play a very up in your face, let's keep them busy, let's keep them guessing sort of play style. Whereas G2 so far, I would wager, have been relatively passive and quite reserved. They've hardly been out in the map killing 6, 7, 8 drones very early into the round, and say the first 2 minutes, and leaving the attackers guessing as what's the best plan of action to take. In fact, in that last round, I think they had like 9 drones left when it came round to actually looking at the site. So it goes to show that, okay, G2 are playing it passively, but they're really good at playing when they've got that site control, and Rogue just a little bit slow off the mark here, especially on a map as big as Bank.
Yeah, I think, as I said last round, the drone game largely seems to come down to where G2 are playing. If they're playing turtle defense on basement, you know what, we're not too worried about the drones. You have your drones, you see what they can gain you. But when they're elsewhere out in the map, doing a very good job of sort of shutting them down. But 9's still on board. I think we just had a little moment where it said 4, but we've got 9 recorded there now. So G2, they need to be picking up a few more if they're going to be playing out in the map. There you go. Thank you very much, Doki. Timing very... These players are really looking after me tonight. Crying going onto the drone at the right time. Doki shooting one out. I've got to, say thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be another case of starting on that top floor and working your way down from there, right? Couple of drones just racing it out, playing like micro machines out towards the west side, making sure no one was hanging off towards lobby. They've got this top floor control that they were looking for, and then it's where they choose to go from here. Last time, if you remember, they were pretty quick, especially with Deepek getting inside and opening up a lot of stock to give them a view directly down in towards site. Here, Alamau inside of Archives, looking to do a bit of work as well, aware that he's also being challenged from the vertical and wants to step back. C4 in hand, he's now waiting for that call. Must have a camera somewhere. It's Citizen who's sat on it waiting for that pull command. Someone steps across. They could be in hot water.
Alamau picking up the Valkyrie here. Obviously, an operator that we see Citizen use from time to time as well. And these are the sorts of things that, we talk about when we say teams are coming together. You get big transfers coming in and who's going to play which operator when you've got that sort of overlap. But it's not looking to do G2 any harm at the minute. It's just one of the things we need to see, just how it plays out as time goes on. But Alamau, he's going to be in charge of the black eye cameras in this round at least, and let me tell you, he's more than capable with that operator. Cryan just trying to move his way in towards Archives here so he can get the direct line of sight into sight, but he just needs to be careful. He's got the verticals in the possession of Rogue at the minute. Leon is up there, but that was where the damage was really done from G2 last time around. But Rogue seemed to just be a little bit more cautious and a little bit more aware of that possibility this time.
We see this hold a lot as well when you have the full reinforcement off of that quad wall, or the triple wall, sorry, and then also looking in towards the castle barricade that's set up on the double doorway. We see it all the time, and teams will sometimes just sledge it open and go nuts. Doki doing what he looked to do in the previous round, which was get himself rotated out. It's Citizen with the entry coming in. Doki was caught out by Deepek though on his attempted flank through lobby. In fact, 3 quick kills go the way of Rogue, and for what started off as a positive sign for G2 with Citizen getting the entry, has now spun against them as it's Prano and Virtue left against the onslaught of Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue in much better control of the map this time around. Doki last time was able to just slide around, get upstairs and really finish off the round, but not this time. Rogue are looking sharp and they are alert. They're looking for that hatch drop. There it comes. First kill. No, is not going to be found. However, Prano, he goes big, manages to drop one on a different day. Prano gets 2 kills there, but it just didn't land for him here, and that's going to see us now with Rogue getting another round, and it's 3-2.
They've already got Deepek into the whole fist bump in the camera at the end of the round as well. Leon there loving it. 2 big kills coming in at the end as well to make sure Rogue get over the finish line. But this is honestly kind of what I thought we might see in the second round. I know that G2 won it out with a big 3K coming from Doki, but I've touched on it already. Rogue's only real weakness so far has been the clock. Outside of that, I would argue they've looked more in command. Again, maybe you'll point at it and say, look, Bank, attack a map, of course they'll be in command. Whatever. G2 have kind of been very defensive, I think, pulling back and being very safe, and Rogue feel mostly in control outside of the clock.
G2 going to be looking to get open and cafeteria locked down this time, but they're going to have to do something different. And for me, it's about that top floor, Des. They're not really investing in keeping hold of it. They've played pretty light up there. They've been forced away quickly. Rogue this time, they were very keen on locking that down and not allowing themselves to be challenged on the flanks. And when they did that, look at what happened in the round. Kill after kill and an easy win for them when it came to the close. So G2, for me, I feel like you need to hold on to that top floor a little bit more. Keep that vertical pressure, keep that vertical threat, but they're not shaping up like that's going to be the case, and I'm a little bit concerned for them that Rogue are just going to come in, rinse and repeat, take the top floor, hold that control, and get themselves another round.
And I spoke earlier on about the need for a warden. And think back to what Citizen was saying last year. When we saw them playing on Chalet, he'd play the roaming smoke and play out on Mares with a shield in hand. And we were like, why are you playing this operator? And he said, well, we needed a shield and no one wants to play warden. So we took the smoke and played him out on the roam instead with the FMG. This year, or so to say this year, in the 5 play days we've seen so far, 4 across APAC and 1 across EUL, his pick rate has just gone through the roof. Again, I think because of the fear of something like a Ying being 6 picked in. It's the only way you can sort of do without it. So I'm finding that really interesting to watch, to be honest, because of course now defenders don't have the choice of, say, baiting it out and thinking, okay, they're going to 6 pick in a Ying here, therefore I need to bring along a warden. You have to prick it at the very start of the round. And Doki with a wonderful shot onto Kanto, who can't quite win away the spot under his own name.
That's unfortunate for Kanto there. He sees the man, but he just can't find the shots. And in the end, it was a beautiful shot from Doki just to catch him between the sort of balustrade and banister of the spiral stairs there. But Doki has been forced away. Rogue do have control of the top floor, I believe, now. So they are going to be able to start with that vertical pressure. Doki has dropped back down into tellers, and it's all up now to vertical defences to come in from G2.
They set the hatch open now? Yes, they will. Okay, I thought they managed to trick out one of the hard breaches. They got the second one. It could have been potentially dangerous territory for the side of Rogue. They still had rips with 3 of those Selmas on side, but let's not forget you require 2 of them to be able to get a single hatch open, leaving you with just 1 in pocket to be able to deal with something else, like in this case, other hatches. The one inside of Janitor now being opened up. So once more, Rogue have got this top floor control they're always looking for, and they've got about 65 seconds still to work with.
Cryan's going to be dropping down those spiral stairs as the weight of Rogue now moves to the mid-floor to try and push directly onto site. Comfortable that they're not going to be hit on the flank or that nobody's going to push for that top floor control. Doki is down in basement, but super low health, so anything he does is going to have to largely be shooting people in the back. He's going to have to look for the sneak attack if he wants to have any real impact in this round. Deepek is going to move himself back upstairs and hold it with Leon for the time being. 35 seconds left to go. They need to start thinking here, the Rogue, about exactly how they're going to get rips into sight. How is he going to get that planting opportunity?
Cryan here just looking for an opportunity to find a man who's maybe got his head sticking a bit too far, forced to take his head clean off. They are down in that 4 versus 5, so Rogue need to make something happen here. But just like in rounds 1 and 2, I feel they've left this a little bit late, Tim. They've got 15 seconds left and they're only just starting to even think about the site. Leon has to go for a hot drop down, manages to find Virtue before being traded out straight away. Rips on the swing through. There's 6 players left on the field, and I can't imagine that many will be left standing at the very end. They're stepping in, looking for their plant, but can they find the men who are all tucked down? There's one off towards the right-hand side. That plant's going to get stuck here, but now they've got to win it out. Cryan, crouch walk round to the side, finds himself one as one rotates through in towards admin. From this point forwards, it's that 2 versus 2, and everyone's crouch walking around these different office cubicle areas, but no one can quite find each other just yet. They see the odd leg, but they can't see any heads. Out comes the Pokeball, hoping to do some damage, but it's nowhere near enough. Rips finds another, and Rogue might have just brought this back to a 3-3 half. If they can find just this final kill on Prano, Rips pops up. It's like playing whack-a-mole, and they can't quite find him. It's a closeout, and Rogue get a 3-3 half.
Rogue have done a great job there of holding on to that. When it went into the 2 versus 2, diffuser down, you start looking at it thinking, this is winnable for G2. But Cryan just managing to move himself around to the side, and he gets that spray down. He just went completely unchecked in getting that first kill in the post plant, and it was big for Rogue. It gave them the advantage that they needed, and then you feel like the utility just played against G2 a little bit there. Prano moved through his rotation, but the castle barricade was there, and he didn't really seem aware of that as he then had to move back straight into the ADSs, and Rogue are able to close it out, and that gives us a mouthwatering prospect coming into this second half of Bankdes. We are 3-3, no advantage to be found anywhere, and these 2 rosters absolutely going at each other at the minute.
I think if anyone came into this game now, if so, hi, welcome. What a game it's been so far. You're looking at a 3-3 half in the first, where G2 now go on to attack. you're still going to be fancying them to walk away the winners here. But it's like everyone's kind of been saying coming into it. Yes, it's a super team, but they've still got some work to do. They've still got to, take time to gel. They've had a boot camp. They've done all they can to be ready for it. So far, Rogue are looking pretty up to the task of challenging them, and I'm keen to see what they do with this setup, given, again, there's things like a Castle, there's an Oryx, there's a Vigil on side. That just screams to me, we want to get out in the map, we want to be bothersome, and of course, you can't forget about the Mozzie as well. Rip's going to be the one who's left on site here to hold the fort.
Okay then, here we go. What is this G2 attack made of? And what is the Rogue defense made of? Is it going to be an immovable object, an unstoppable force? Is it going to be a little bit of both? We're going to find out in the next few minutes. Alamau making quick progress straight in on the Ossa, gets the shield down, locked in, and can just hold that angle now into red corridor. It is a great way of dealing with that angle and that potential utility that can come out when you're trying to get the diffuser down.
Indeed. I mean, thinking about the top floor, it's probably what you're going to see now. I keep going to say it. I see Doki. I just want to say Navi. You're probably seeing working in towards the top floor here and working their way forward slowly. I say that, and of course, we already had the Osa down inside the basement. They want to do a full clear, probably just to make sure no one's going to come and challenge them, because we've seen Merc pull off a magical 3K, if you remember, on the Vigil back at SI by pushing down here to the top of square and killing 3 players as they were looking to go for the execute. So it's good that at least Doki is watching it as Rips finds himself down on the smoke. That's not the man that you want to lose early on, so he should be recoverable here by Leon. Thank God for that, because those smokes will stay active.
Great nade coming in though. Doki's going to find that opener onto Kanto on the top floor, and that gives G2 the comfort that they were looking for. Des, they're not going to be getting hit on the flank from up above. There is still one on the mid floor that needs to be tracked down. It's going to be Deepak on the Vigil. They need to make sure that they find him. Crying as well. This defense is widespread at the minute with only 2 down on site, but there's a real opportunity for them to push in and get a plant down. Alamau's going to place the shield. Prano may look to move in under that cover now and put the diffuser down on the ground, and this might not be easy for Rogue to stop here.
Well, being very, very cautious about this one as well. He's going to step in and go for the plant. Another smoke coming out. However, Virtue had the cross, was ready for Leon to step in. They finished off the plant and got out of dodge as well. Prana retaining about 40%. And Doki, the master of square, gets a massive 3K, shutting down any potential flank coming out of Rogue. And this one looks done and dusted. Rips about 20 HP, nothing left to do. G2 with an excellent attack, come out with a flawless round, Tim.
Big statement has been sent there. G2 going very well on their first attack. Round 7 going their way. CCTV and lockers, and it was largely down to that work done by Alamau and Prano. What a great double act they were there, with him moving in with the Ossa shield and just nudging it forward. Des gets it locked in position, gets the down onto the smoke, and then collects it, moves it forward. Collects it, moves it forward, and just gaining that ground inch by inch until he gets that plant spot locked off so that Prano can move in and plant undercover. Beautifully done.
You're talking about what's going on down in basement, but what's protecting them from above? Who is their angel? It's Doki at the top of square. 3 kills he got upside there. Stopped any flank coming in down towards Janitor Hallway. Protected square in general so no one could get down blue. Him finding 3 kills up there basically shut down any opportunity for Rogue to pull off a flank, which meant those members of G2 downstairs were just attacking into 2 people and had what? 2 minutes 30 seconds to burn through players trying to push them, through 3 smoke canisters, everything. So a massive well done by Doki there. You know, for me, the man of that round that really made sure they got it over the finish line, and it's his second 3K of the game.
We've got the share scheme sales at the bottom, of course, Vigil and I think it was Bandit, who's the last Rogue one. And then obviously we've got the new ones as well. We've got the Aruni for G2, we've got a Twitch for Rogue, if I remember rightly. Plenty of ways to support your favourite teams if you choose to do so. And boy, are there some beautiful uniforms. They really do empty out my wallet every time they come out, Des.
Well, you've got to put that.
I don't mind for 1 second because they're just so good looking.
I remember when the first bunch came out, I mean, you were just like, oh no, my wallet, what's happening? Just both like, oh no, 7 skins, 8 skins, 9, no! Ubisoft, why do you do this?
Okay, he's going to just be trying to get an angle into open area and cafeteria at the minute. He can't seem to move his way in there just as of yet. There is a player lodged in the back underneath the hatch as well. Deepak is supporting Cryan. They're both trying to keep hold of this together, keeping hold of the underneath. Of course, the site is up above. It's in CEO, but they need to be aware because, of course, it's a Valkyrie that's playing underneath, Nitro in hand, so Cryan needs to be dealt with.
I could just see a world where that was going to turn into a kill. Yep, I mean, one man pushes him out of admin with a spray into the wall, and Citizen is there waiting to welcome him into some warm, loving arms and gets the kill before Deepak finds one back. Doesn't know about the man on the near side, though. In this case, they're trying to get him out, but a spray through the soft wall. I don't think they know that he's down, but down he is indeed. They'll probably see him in just a second. There we go. Now they know. Okay, maybe not. Come on, Citizen, please. Just do it again. One more time. One more time. He's still there. Oh, no.
I tell you what, there was some RNG luck there for Deepak.
No way.
I don't know how he keeps surviving. He burns a lot of bullets. He burns a nade. He burns a lot of time. But Citizen gets there and gets his man. And that's going to leave us 3 versus 3 as Prano loses himself along the way, along with Doki now. Both of those off the board. Alamo goes as well, and Rogue might just be able to hold fast here, Des. They've got themselves into a 3v2. Plenty of time here for Citizen and Virtue, but they're going to have to get something going if they want to be picking up round 8.
Well, Virtue has done the job that he's kind of stepped into in this roster. He moved onto a flex support role here, more support in the front line than playing in it like he did for most of last year. He's pinged out where 2 players are, so Citizen should have the idea of what it is that he's trying to play with here. They've got about 45 seconds to work with, so it is plenty of time, and Citizen is just waiting for the green light to say, right, now is go time, let's make it happen.
Certainly a lot of patience from G2. Nothing wrong with that. Virtue on the cams, just trying to use those SAM cams as much as possible to just get any sliver of information that he can feed into Citizen, who we all know can be a bit of a heat-seeking missile at times. You just sort of give him the information and off he goes and he finds his man. And he does take some shots through the soft wall there. Can't find the kill. He does find some damage onto Leon, but not able to lock it down. Leon continues fighting from behind that deployable shield as best he can. He's got the red pings, he's got the information. He doesn't know, I don't think, one's pushed into elevator. Does take some chips off in Virtue, but time is going to be the problem here as Citizen is found by Leon, and that's the round ticking away. And G2 unable to close it down, and we find ourselves all level once again, 4-4.
It's looking dicey. And I say dicey, it's competitive, and that's what we all expect from the game of the day, right? I mean, coming into it, it's looking phenomenal. That one was a bit of a slow one, I think, because Virtue was spending much of it on cams as well. When realistically, you've got 3 dead teammates. They can do that work for you. You can get more mobile. You can look to try and make things happen. But they couldn't quite deliver the goods when most required in round 8. 4-4 we sit at. Staff and open area going to be the next site that we step into. And yep, don't get too excited about the lineup you've seen. I imagine you'll see Alamar move away from that glass onto something more fitting of what he likes to play.
More than likely, I would expect. So we head into round 9. It's going to be open area this time. So far, we've seen 3 different sites defensively from Rogue, CCTV, CEO, and Open. They won CEO, lost CCTV. So they're going to try their hand at open area. And it's going to be probably largely the same as last time around. Like I say, whether we'll see that increased sort of presence upstairs from Rogue that G2 really didn't worry about too much. We'll see as the round goes on, but we've got utility being deployed all across the mid floor at the minute, which would suggest that they may be going to give up that top floor to G2, much as G2 did for them.
Look at what they're trying to get away with here. Probably be a camera right up in that top corner, tucked in. Now, if not spotted, that could be a real headache for them. Because in that last round, you had 2 members of G2 coming up through the lobby stairway, and both were being red pinged, and you can only assume that is from a Valkyrie cam. It could have been that one was tucked in, because once they got at the top of the stairs and tucked into Kanto, the ping stopped. So it must be the same one here, and why fix what ain't broken?
Just going to open up the castle barricade. Doki ready to open up the soft wall as well, giving great angles on into sight. Going to make it difficult for those defenders to rotate or move around. As soon as that vertical pressure comes, that window becomes a lot more dangerous there, because obviously vertical pressure, as we know, is used a lot of the time not to find kills, but to move defenders around. They can't stay in their favourite spot if the ceiling gets opened up above them. So when they move, you have somebody stood on the window, you wait for them to move across the angle, and you go in and get the kills. Now, Virtue, he's going to be exchanging their black eye cameras for SAM cameras. He's going to be putting their own in whilst taking Valkyries out. So not only reducing information, but actually using a full swing to give it to G2.
Should have let the SAM cams get the kill. Oh, a bit of robot wars out there. Bit of utility on utility wars. We love it. As one comes straight through there, I think getting rid of the bulletproof that was sat on front desk looking out towards the lobby side. They have got full coverage with those 2 cameras that are out in towards the lobby side. Now the question is, where does the next one go? And this one is going right down in towards Attic, just to keep an eye on what's going on around Bleepers, I imagine. Beautiful, and look at that. We'll lose it, of course, but sees 2 before anything else can happen.
Gives the information that they need in, and what a long-range shot from Virtue. Beautiful. Coming in there. Not an easy one to pick out at that sort of range with the limited scope. Rips is inside of Archives at the minute. Knows that somebody is lower square, and he's looking for the challenge,
my.
but there's the flank. Deepak comes up, Nitro goes out, Rips gets a double, beats him to it.
Yeah.
It was Doki he was looking for with the explosives, but if he was quick thinking enough, he could have not detonated it, and he might even be able to retrieve it, but for the time being, that won't be his focus. Alamai moving up blue stairs will be his focus, and indeed, he's dead. So that's going to leave us now 4 versus 3, but still in favour of Rogue, and this could be advantage Rogue at the end of round 9.
It could be. I mean, they're starting to get a couple of angles opened up, but not enough that's really going to say, yep, it's go time, because I'm pretty sure there are still 2 players. Yep, Kanto and Rips playing as a duo act here, coming together through Archives. If they can push in and find a couple of big kills, this will be terrifying for the side of G2. That's the indicator they need as 1 kill comes in, but they're doing about the man the second. No, 1's down already, but Prano, he didn't know the man's a couple of pixels away, but still finds the kill. 1's on the deck, and the last one comes charging out. It's Leon pushing his way forwards. It's him and Crying against Virtue, who's got it all to do in the last 20 seconds here, Tim.
Unlikely, as he's just trying to move through and get some sort of sniff of anybody, but nope, it's going to be Crying who finds his man, and that's going to be Rogue taking the lead for the first time today as they get themselves up to 5-4 on the scoreboard, and now it's time to really see what this G2 team are made of.
Well, kind of goes to speak a little bit towards just having no names on the team, right? I'm not at all saying they're playing badly, but it is not the knockout performance many would have been expecting coming into today. Rogue really putting on a show so far, and I've got to say, a lot of it being led from the front by Leon, who's sat on 14 kills so far in this game across 9 rounds. You know, whenever I think of Leon being normally the go-to entry player for the team, I think of a man that'll charge in and win half and lose half, and that's it. He's done for the round. He'll sit on cams, he'll play shot caller, but he's really stepping up so far, way ahead of the rest of his team, and mostly really far ahead of everyone else on the enemy team. Citizen just 5 kills behind him.
As you say, Leon.
And not even playing entry, by the way.
Leon going fantastically well, and there we go. We've got the Bandit Rogue set down at the bottom that I spoke about earlier. Absolute beauty it is. We're going to be heading down not only to the bottom of your screen for the Bandit outfit, but to the bottom side here. We're going to be heading into the basement, lockers and CCTV. We saw this back in round number 7. It was a pretty easy win for G2 on the attack. Alamau just working his way in there with the Ossa, but interestingly this time, we've got the Yingdes.
Even more interesting, G2 lost 3 drones in that drone phase. They're down to just 7 as the round started. Like, you never see that anymore. Like, maybe in ranks, but not so much at a competitive level. So fair play to Rogue, who've already dealt with 3. And it's not just that. They've got Mozzie, they've got Mute, they've got so many ways to deal with the intel game coming out of G2. Just trying to have an information blackout here to slow G2 down, catch them out a little bit. And Doki, they have an idea, but it drones straight into that Mozzie pest. That's another one gone, down to 6 they go.
Not ideal. They're going to be limited on information if that continues. And Rogue are going to have a little bit of a free reign on the map. They're going to be able to be much more mobile. Nade potentially coming out. Nope. You're not going to get anybody with that one.
He dropped away, but he played it perfectly because they can't drone him because he got caught up by the Mozzie pest. They're forced to nade it outright. Again, just super smart play by Rogue. It's much more aggressive than what we saw from G2 on their defenses, contesting them for longer and then dropping away.
Pretty patient so far from Rogue, not getting overly aggressive, just as you say, letting G2 fight shadows really, just, you know, very smart movement from them, very smart relocations, and just able to keep G2 guessing by taking that intel away from them as well. We've just got the Yokai drone being repositioned. Leon's got himself established inside a garage and likely to play the majority of the round there if given the chance.
Yeah, I mean, why not? If they're going to force it all the way down to the wire, which is what Rogue's game plan has been so far, is to burn as much time as possible, then yeah, an Echo is a really smart play here, which is why pairing that up with the Mozzie and the Mute and even the Castle to some level alongside the smoke is just maximum stall tactics coming out from Rogue, and G2 so far are biting into it. Doki's still stuck on the top floor for now. They're still hovering around here, waiting for the hatch. Does he try and shoot it out? Now he's giving his position away and they'll know, and the Yokai lives as well. That's probably the worst possible outcome for Doki that he could have been looking for.
So, and it just seems like those little things, those marginal wins and losses are all going against G2 at the minute, Des. For the last couple of rounds, Rogue have just really been able to fall on the better side of those moments. Rips, he's going to keep himself much more active inside of Red Corridor than he did last time, but Prano is able to get in and start getting the diffuser down. What a beautiful one tap from Alamo, finding Leon inside a garage. In goes the next Candela, and they retire away to hold this diffuser from range.
A little bit too much committed by the C4s out on the roam there. I think you're looking for those on the defensive side to deny those kind of plans, but Prano's got in a 5 versus 4 to make it happen. Finds another one for himself as Deepek goes down. Now Kanto knows that he's being challenged from Archives. The call will have come out that he's there, and Prano is holding off towards the side. Man steps round, but Kanto finds the shot. Would have been otherwise a perfect round coming out for G2. Rogue only find the 1 kill, despite what looked like a phenomenal roam game to start the round.
Well, what a game we are being treated to. Here we go to 5-5. We're going to see all 12 rounds as a minimum. There's a potential for overtime here, and this is becoming a real slog between these two. They are like two heavyweight boxers in the ring, just absolutely raining blows on each other. There's absolutely no let-up from either side. We're going to have the tactical timeout coming out as Rogue, they just choose to take themselves a little breather and sit back and see if they can just steady the ship a little bit.
And the fact that no player is talking, I imagine this is Meepy or Tristan, their new analyst who got announced earlier on. Congratulations, by the way. Having a bit of a conversation with them. Very likely to be Meepy. And I'm curious again about what I've mentioned several times. We've just seen a Ying. Are we now going to see a Warden getting brought out by the defenders?
Well, this is it. This is the question now, isn't it? We've said it a few times. That Warden does seem to sometimes be a little bit of a reactionary pick. Once you see the Ying used, it's like, right, we've better bring Warden every round.
Yep,
and
brilliant.
So, like you say, it may have an impact, but it could be a positive impact for G2. It could be, you know, forcing that Warden into
that was half-assed crying, let's not lie. Everyone was like, yeah, camera, and he was like, woo.
Forcing that Warden into the lineup.
Nope.
If that does happen, it hasn't in this round at least, you know, can potentially upset the rhythm a little bit of the team. But no, for the time being, we're going to have no Ying unless we have that attacker repick. Alamau is going to be bringing along the Monty for the time being. Again, not too unusual to see Alamau bring the shields along. It's a little bit of a treat from the LATAM region that he's bringing with him.
You had Crying just like full pelt it down to lobby, and he was immediately lying down in ATMs waiting for the drones to come through. Like back in the old days, you get a couple of drones spawning in that location and coming running at you. So a bit of a throwback to that, I guess, just looking to collect them. But now, I don't think he's able to collect any. Whoa. Wait a second. What? 5 more appear in pocket. I always get baited by that. I had this in APAC last week where I saw 4-0 and I was like, wait, there's no way they've lost 5 drones. No, it's just that you don't get given the extra 5 until you actually spawn into the map. Makes sense.
It's confused me a couple of times.
You look at it and
We'll
just go,
get used to it.
you have a small heart attack. Like, surely it can't have gone that bad.
We'll get used to it.
Well, it is going to be a Monty, and it is going to be Virtue bringing along the Amaru.
Kanto looking like he's having some issues potentially there, and there comes the drop inside of the first 30 seconds, so we may well see a rehost. We'll see if that gets called or not. I believe the feedback is that it was just called a little bit too late. So we are going to be progressing with this one, and if Kanto doesn't make his way in by the end, then I'm sure we will get that sorted before round 12. Unfortunate timing for Rogue, though, as they now find themselves 4 versus 5 in what could be an important round here, and that is going to be an opportunity for G2 to try and take.
It's unfortunate that it comes down to it, but G2 have got to play the hand they're dealt here, and that is an instant 5 versus 4. Alamau already worked his way here up to the top of the lobby stairs. You've got Citizen holding off towards the other side as well on the push-in. So this kind of lurking play from Citizen, we're all very used to seeing it. Drone himself in, plays solo, looks to try and find kills here, and finds the entry onto Deepek, who was waiting at the top of blue.
Great start from Citizen there, exactly what they needed. Doki doubles down, it's 4v2, and it's starting to slip apart for Rogue here. It could be G2 that look to guarantee themselves some overtime as an absolute minimum, but it's not done yet. Leon very nearly getting his man as he gets around the back of Alamau. He just gets aggressive, but Citizen's there to cover the angle. It's all up to Cryan, 1 versus 3. Out goes the Nitro, takes a lot of damage on Citizen, and Cryan, he's just going to try and relocate and push back from another angle, but it's giving Prano the opportunity to get the diffuser down.
I say kind of winnable as well, because Alamau and Citizen are like a bullet from death, even against the MPX, but Prano's got the plant down at this point. That makes this basically unwinnable, I feel. They'll just sit on windows, they'll wait. There's no way that he manages to kill all 3 and stick the defuse, especially when there's a Monty on field and playing behind 2 shields here, because when 1 isn't oppressive enough, stick a second there for good measure.
Exactly that. It's going to be a difficult ask for Cryan here, and with 15 seconds left to go before he runs out of time to actively disable that diffuser, it is likely to be just kills for sure at this point. It's going to be a little bit of stat padding if he manages to get any, but if not, he's just giving them the opportunity to have a little chat and just try to slow things down, because Rogue, they need to fight their way back now and try and get themselves into overtime.
It'd be very deserved if it goes all the way through to overtime. Like, I know G2 would love to win regardless, but it'd really sting for Rogue to lose off the back of a potential disconnect. Anyway, let's see how round 12 plays out. We do still get the full rounds of regulation. I'm keen to see where Rogue step to in this round, whether or not they choose to go for that one again, or if they step elsewhere. Nope, it's going to be exec and CEO. So, thinking they can definitely pull it off when all 5 are alive.
That's it, and Cantor's going to be back with us now. He gets himself back inside of the game, so we're going to see a full strength Rogue going for this to try and get themselves through to overtime. As you say, not ideal timing for them, but it is what it is, and they will continue fighting. And like you said, Des, I think both teams can make a strong argument for being deserving of a win here. They've both had their big moments, and they've both shown us some great siege. So going to overtime would certainly be a fair outcome at the minute to give them both a chance at some points. But it might not be the case. G2, they're going to be looking for the full 3. They want to send a statement here, coming in with the new roster. This isn't the strongest that we're going to see this roster for G2. This is the first real competitive game together, and there's a lot of work and a lot of time to go into this. But if they start picking up wins to begin with, then you wonder just how strong can they get.
You kind of got to say the same for Rogue, though, right? You know, Deepek's first game at the Tier 1.
Yeah.
Kanto coming back after a long break. I would say neither have, like again, set the world on fire and really run away and gone, wow, best pickup you could ever make. But it's definitely not been a bad performance for the first. Again, a lot of things relying on Leon, I feel. Really on the side of G2 feeling a bit more rounded with Doki and Citizen getting in the mix of things. Some really good executes coming out from Prano as well. Getting a couple of plants down in the last 2 rounds. And ultimately winning the round for G2 overall. However, let's see what Rogue can do in this round, because this is the big one. They're confident, clearly, as we've already said, that coming back to this site will work out for them this time. You've got a very similar style of setup, and Deepek once again is taken down by Citizen, who this time comes in from below.
Great start for G2, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed one of these players to really step up and take a hold of it. It's been Citizen in the last couple of the rounds, got entry in round 11, got the entry in round 12, and just really giving G2 that advantage that they need, that sort of power to push them forward, and it's a great start for them. Now then, we're going to have the remainder of Rogue largely locked on the top floor, but there is one man down in basement who's going to have to be watched. We're going to see the elevator wall opened, and it's Cryan who's downstairs. He's going to start to creep his way up the main stairs towards the mid floor, but there is a drone at the top waiting for him, so needs to be careful about just exactly when he reveals his location. What a nade from Citizen.
What a
beautiful. Up through the rafters, manages to find his man. Leon bites the dust, and that's going to leave us 5 versus 3.
Can't really say fairer than that, can you really? Just a beautiful nade coming in, not exposing himself to the vertical angle, and what Leon thought would surely be a freebie kill coming in. So big start to the round for Citizen with 2 kills going their way. Rogue here now going to find themselves start to thinning down. They've got a C4 still in back pocket from Cryan, who's still playing downstairs. You've got 3 smoke canisters in back pocket, but Citizen's going fishing once again. More nades coming in from below, but doubt will find anyone this time.
There's somebody up on that main stairs skylight. I think they're aware of Cryan's position, and Virtue's likely to just hold a line of sight here if he can to try and prevent any late rotation from Cryan. He's actually got himself up to the top of the stairs now, and Virtue, there's potentially an opportunity there, but the Stars are going to have to align for him. Olamo just holding that very long angle from the upside down rappel, and G2, I won't say stalling out, but just pausing a little bit here. I think they've just got the drones out, they've got the utility being shifted around, and they're just waiting for that perfect moment for the final execute.
Bring in the shield user, in he comes, being shot slowly on the toes, but now that this is down, this is dangerous territory for the side of Rogue. Citizen almost losing his life there to a couple of shots coming in from the other side, but no such joy. In comes Cryan, but the MPX just a bit too far off to the left. Virtue hitting his shot. It's a 5 versus 2, and surely G2 close it out here.
You would think so as Citizen finds Kanto, and we're looking at a potential flawless round here, but no, it will be stopped by Rips. Prano managing to get that diffuser down again, though, something G2 have done very well so far. It's all up to Rips, shut down by Citizen. Big round from him, big round from G2, and they take their first win of 2022.
Whew. Well, with how things are shaping up there, that was one hell of a spicy game, and I'm honestly convinced if we had all 5 still in there in that round 11, maybe we would have gone all the way through to overtime. But it is what it is. G2 find their first win, and that is going to be one massive sigh of relief for G2 fans.
Look at that, Citizen on 15, Doki on 10, and something that I think all G2 fans wanted to see. 25 kills between the 2 of them. And I think that might just be questions answered, Des.
I'm really enjoying the fact there was a bit of a rivalry that game. As always, between Leon and between Citizen, the Essex boys, both on 15 kills at the end of it as well. It did come down to just one round being the outcome. You know, not a bad first map for either team, I thought. G2 may be a little bit less aggressive on the road than we expected. Rogue looking sharp at certain points as well. I can't wait to see what else they do on Thursday.
I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to seeing both of those teams play again. Obviously, Rogue are sort of at the peak of I will say a resurgence, actually. They had a tough middle to the year last year, and then they made it through to Sweden, they made it through to Invitational, had some great performances there and showed us that they were this real force. And, yeah, they've shown it us again, and I'm looking forward to seeing more.
They'll take some games this stage, that much is for sure. Let's go to a quick break, and when we come back, our analysts will break that game down for you.